Hi everyone, and welcome to the Soul Illumination Reading for the sign of Pisces. This is I Am Illuminated Tarot reading for Soul Illumination. So hi everyone and welcome. This is going to be a reading that looks at exactly that, what your soul would most like you to know at this time, Pisces. So we're going to be looking at first the energy that you're sitting with. Then we're going to be looking at what your spirit or your soul is illuminating for you at this time. We'll then be looking at a block or a challenge around that area in your life. We'll be looking at advice as to how to overcome that block, and then the level of abundance or soul growth that wants to come in as a result of overcoming and addressing that block in this certain area of your life. So right off the bat, we have the Strength card. This is you, Pisces. Now, the Strength card is obviously a card that depicts just that. The strength to have the courage to do something. Now, it can also represent, as you can see here, there's an angelic being that looks like it's kind of almost like closing the mouth of the lion here. So there's also a sense of really, especially when this comes up as your energy, this is your internal energy, there's a sense of really almost like taming the beast within. There's a sense of grace. There can be almost like a grace under fire kind of energy coming through. And it's one where we also, when we are sitting with this energy, it's where we learn about ourselves. We learn about how we are strong, the aspects of ourselves where we are, let's say, maybe there's an untamed element to our personality, and we learn how to then tame that in a way that we can use it as a strength instead of perhaps as a weakness. So it's not only about having the courage to do something, but it's also about learning about ourselves. And again, learning to work with our personalities and learning to be able to yield our beast, meaning yield our own power in a positive and supportive and strong way. Now, what is being highlighted by Spirit for you over here is death. Now, that does not mean that you are going to die or someone in your experience is going to die. What this is referring to is that there is an element in your experience around the theme, there's something in your experience around the theme of death that is being highlighted. Now, whether this is actually having to face a part of yourself that needs to be released, this can often be, especially with strength coming in over here, this can be an ego death where we have to be strong to let a certain maybe way of being, how we've always been seen, a way we've been identified. It's time to allow that to be released so that it can be transformed. That's really what the death card harnesses, the energy of Scorpio, which is the phoenix rising, meaning that the phoenix has to be burned to then rise from the ashes as the something new, as the phoenix. So with the Page of Cups coming in as your main underlying energy, there is a real focus on your inner child or perhaps a child in your life. But there's almost a feeling here of returning to an innocent part of yourself. And with the Lovers and the World coming in, this speaks to, for some of you, this could actually be the releasing of a past relationship, or this could be instead the releasing of a way of being in past relationships. And now you get a second chance to really embrace a relationship from an innocent place, from a place of innocence within yourself, where you don't have to hide something. With the World coming in, there was a hard and fast stop to a certain part of your life, meaning that you've gone through a cycle and that cycle closed out, whether it's closing out currently or it has previously closed out in the recent past. Now, with the Lovers and the Page of Cups, this is beautiful energy. This is approaching either a relationship or what you love from a place of sincerity, from a place of emotional sincerity, and also emotional innocence. The Page of Cups is like our inner child. It's the individual who expresses what they love, what they don't love, what they want, what they need, but from a place of that kind of optimistic curiosity of a child, where children don't often have filters, right? They don't second guess expressing that they love someone or second guess expressing what they need in the moment. And there's a sense here of really being able to embrace that energy, either again towards doing something that you love or choosing something that you love, or actually in a relationship, which is really, really lovely. So let's see what else wants to come in here for you. We're going to be looking now at the block or the challenge. We'll be looking at the advice as to how to overcome that. And then we'll be looking at what wants to come in for you, all of the positive goodness that is waiting on the other side. So let's see here, Pisces. What does Pisces need to know? Okay, so we have Prince of Wands, which is the Knight of Wands, technically. Now, it's interesting. I just did Capricorn's reading yesterday, and they got the same card in the same position. So you may actually be dealing with a Capricorn. You may also have a Capricorn placement in your chart. So, that actually often helps get a little more insight into ourselves when we know more than just, let's say, our sun sign or our rising sign. Often our moon sign can be one of the most important signs to know, as well as your Mars placement, how you choose to act, your Mercury placement, how you choose to communicate. So in your Venus as well, which is, again, how you choose to love and what you value. I don't know why I needed to go into that, but maybe somebody needed to hear that. Okay, so Prince of Wands, Knight of Wands. That is, what do we have here? Okay, we have one that's face up, so I'll take that because the rest came out kind of messy. Okay, now this is interesting that these two cards came out like this, back to back. Prince of Wands, which is technically the Knight of Wands in the traditional tarot, and the Nine of Wands right after that. Now, often, I'm just going to say this, when I'm listening to readings from other readers, it's hard for me to hear if they're saying Knight of Wands or Nine of Wands, and these two cards can often get mixed up as I'm listening to another reader give a reading, and I think it's funny that these came up back to back here. So why it's interesting is because there's a sense here of these being very different energies. But you can see the one thing they do have in common is that they harness the energy of Leo. So that's where you see the lion image depicted in both of these cards. Now, with strength as well, there's a sense of this Leo courage, having the strength to do something, but yet these two cards show the strength in two different ways. Now, the Knight of Wands is the energy of the individual who has the strength to follow their passions, follow their heart, do what feels good, has the strength to free themselves to do that. The Nine of Wands, on the other hand, is the strength to just keep going, even in the face of one difficult task after another difficult task after another difficult task. Now, the first card, the Knight of Wands, is someone who is kind of free and easy. The Nine of Wands is someone who is burned out and exhausted. So there's this kind of doubling down energy here of the Leo, lion, courage, strength to do something. But there's two different ways you can do it. You can be strong in a way to free yourself, to follow your heart, follow your passions, or you can be strong in a way that is where you just feel like you're having to do one fight after another, or one battle after another. So there's the weary, wounded warrior, or there's the adventurous soul seeker. So it's an interesting thing here coming through for you, Pisces. So I'd say the main challenge here for you is, can you have the strength to embrace the Knight of Wands energy over the Nine of Wands? Now, this could actually be a pattern from the past where maybe you had to, really embrace the Nine of Wands energy because it was a difficult chapter in your life. It was a difficult cycle you went through. But now you're being offered a new cycle, one in which you don't have to bring with you that Nine of Wands energy, which is the burnout, the fatigue, the looking at every next step as something that might be a battle instead of something that might be enjoyed. And I really get the feeling that that's what you're being asked to release. That's where the death comes in here. Okay, so for the rest of your reading here, we have the Queen of Cups at the heart of your reading, which I absolutely love. This is the advice from Spirit or from your soul as to how to overcome this kind of block, I think, around embracing your inner fire, your freedom, versus staying in this kind of, I'd say, very narrow-minded viewpoint of life is a struggle, every relationship is a struggle, everything I do has to be, towing the line, and I just have to stay in a continual state of burnout. Because the Queen of Cups is the energy of the unconditionally loving mother. This says it's time to take care of yourself. This card is a card that can really represent self-nurturing, really honoring your cup, honoring your needs, your dreams, your hopes, and your emotional state. It can also, especially when it comes up here, this is saying embrace your own inner mother. It's almost like you're being asked to mother your inner child. On the other side of this waiting to come in for you is here's the Lovers. You have the Lovers, you have the High Priestess, which is your card, Pisces, in the tarot. And so technically this is you coming forward, and the King of Pentacles. Now, for some of you, this actually could be around a Taurus in your life. So, keep that in mind if you do have someone who either represents Taurus or who is a strong earth sign, meaning they could be a Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn. So remember when I said there was a Capricorn element coming in here? That could be this individual. It could be also an aspect of yourself where you're really learning how to master your physical experience, which is really these two cards, the Prince of Wands and the Knight and the King of Pentacles. These two really speak to someone who understands how to manage their physical resources, time, energy, and money in a way that allows them to be free to do what they want, to follow their passions, to go on the trips, to go out and date, whatever it is. And there's a sense here of the more that you mother yourself and your own inner child, the more that you take care of your own emotional needs, you get the opportunity to embrace either love and a new relationship, or you get the opportunity to really discover what you love through freeing yourself to go out and do what feels good, to get that flame of passion out there and start to, hey, pick up a new hobby or go on that weekend away. And that's where we discover what we love. We get to bring more of that into our experience. So it could also be that this is where you get to go out there and you get to find your next love. Now with the High Priestess coming in, this is the card of inner knowing. It's kind of like our ability to tap into universal knowledge through our intuition. And there's a sense of really getting back in touch with that part of yourself here, Pisces. And I think through that, getting back in touch with uniquely what you love, who you are, honoring that inner child within, and really getting back to a place of self-care, self-awareness, and the strength to free yourself, to follow your passions, you then understand that on a deep level, it's about learning how to master your physical. That these two, again, as I was saying, are intrinsically linked. That the more we understand how to manage our resources in I'd say a responsible way, because the kings always, that's what they really speak to, is doing something in a responsible way because they are the head or the head of their kingdom, the ruler of their kingdom. So there's a sense here of really embracing that where it's time to really kind of buckle down and have the strength in your physical experience to either A, manage your time. Maybe now it's time to not be in a place of burnout because you were trying to do too many things. So you learn how to prioritize what you need to not feel that way so that you have more time to do the things that you really want. That can also speak to managing your energy levels. Maybe this is where you realize it's time for you to get on that diet plan or start to do things, again, like not stay at work too late so you don't have the energy to do this something that you really want to. This can also be managing your physical resources like your finances or managing what you do in your house and things of that nature. So this could be saying, really get on board with spending so that you don't feel like you're kind of stuck here, maybe having to work 3 jobs and say, you know what, instead I'm really going to practice the art of saving or the art of budgeting, so that when something does come up that I truly want to do, I have the ability to do that with safety and security. Now, with the Six of Cups coming in, this is beautiful energy of kind of returning to the past. There is a sense with these two cards coming in, with the Page of Cups and the Six of Cups coming in as your both underlying energies. It's the energy of a return to innocence. It's the energy of returning to an aspect of your youth. It could even be returning to an aspect of your youth and looking at your home life and how things were set up, or looking at a dream that you at that point had wanted to bring forward. And you maybe are getting a second chance to really do that, make that happen. Now, this kind of card slid out of the way. I want to see what's underneath. Yeah, there's the World again. So this is saying that here's the World coming in, main underlying energy twice here, that there's a hard and fast stop to a way of being and to a cycle that you went through that did probably bring a level of burnout, feeling like things didn't go as easily as they could. And yet here we have the Page of Cups and the Six of Cups, and this is a return to you, to your innocent self, a return to innocence. It could even be a chance to have a child in your life through a romantic relationship. Okay, so now I'm going to pull some additional cards here. We're going to pull some clarifiers, and we're going to dive a little deeper into each one of these cards. Okay, let's see here. I think you're really, for many of you, there's just kind of like this message that came through. You're really getting clear as to what you need in your physical to really feel like you are taken care of. And there's something about becoming very clear as to what you want. How can I say this? It's so strange. It's like it's coming in clearly and yet I can't say it. It's almost like you have a vision of the life you want to live that involves who you want to live it with and what you want to do in there. And you're getting a very clear, intuitive knowing of what you need to do in the physical to make that happen. Okay, yes, because here it is, Two of Wands and Three of Wands coming in over the Knight of Wands. It's saying, it's Two of Wands asks us, it's where do we go from here? There's a new way of being, a new path to choose. And that path is what's going to lead to the Three of Wands, which are new opportunities, which is your ships coming in. But we can't wait for those new opportunities if we're not actually choosing a new way, or we're not actually choosing to take action in a different way or go in a different direction. But it's saying that if you choose to go in a different direction, which is starting to follow your heart, starting to have that, build that sense of freedom in your life, that's what's going to bring in the opportunity. It's going to bring in what you're hoping, I think, to come in for yourself. So with the Nine of Wands, we have the Page of Swords and we have the Four of Coins. There's a sense of trying to get very clear as to why you feel like, I think there's a sense of getting very clear as to what to do with a certain level of resources you currently have, where you feel like, okay, I have just enough. Things are just stable enough. Four of Coins can speak to a foundation that it's like saying, okay, I was in debt for a long time. I worked my butt off. I saved, and I've paid off all of my credit cards. I have no debt. And now I have this beautiful foundation to now start to save or start to build towards what I want in the physical. That can be the Four of Coins. It can speak to someone who's also very miserly, maybe holding back. So there's perhaps a sense here of, with the Page of Swords, there's a sense of taking a look and being curious, like what is your relationship to the physical? What is your relationship to money? Where are you holding back? Maybe out of fear of change, fear of investment, fear of loss, or have you now built a solid foundation where you are safe and secure that maybe took a long time to get there? When you think about the Nine of Wands in relation to, let's say, somebody trying to dig themselves out of debt, that is difficult and it takes a long time. And yeah, you might feel burned out and be like, oh my gosh, finally I've gotten to that place. But now when there's like a sense of evaluating where you are now, how far you had to go to get there, and what was the original maybe issues that got you maybe in debt, and how can you start to learn how to avoid those? Because if we're going from the Four of Pentacles to the King of Pentacles, this is a big leap. There's a big change in how you perceive what you have, how you invest, again, how you mete out your time and energy. So I think for many of you, there's a real look here as to what around your physical environment burned you out in the past. And how can you do it differently this time? Let's see here. So we have the Queen of Cups. We have the Ten of Coins. Beautiful. So 10 of Pentacles. Ooh, that is a few too many cards. I'm going to see if I can get a few less. That was a lot. So many cards that want to come out. Okay. I guess I'll take these. So we have the Ten of Coins speaks to a legacy that you'd like to leave. It can be home and family. It can be all of your physical possessions. It can also speak, though, to the legacy that you want to build and experience in the physical, meaning ultimately the wealth you want to amass, the home you want to have, the physical legacy you want to leave as inheritance to future generations. And now with the Fountain, the Moon, here's the King of Pentacles again coming up, in Judgment. There's a sense for some of you where there's really the fundamental change for you right now is that you are being asked to step up and really, I think, be the head of a household, or to become the individual who is the person who understands how to invest their money. With the Fountain can speak to, it can be a card of surrendering to just kind of the greater design of the universe, of God. There's a sense of also being able to tap into universal knowledge, is kind of on the same plane as the High Priestess. But it's really being able to almost be like at the center. To me, this card always speaks to either A, tapping into universal intelligence, or B, getting to that place of almost Buddha-like transcendence, where you are so enlightened you can just be and yet experience everything at once. It's a very, very interesting card in this deck. So there's a sense here of almost like having to have gone through, with especially the Moon coming in, having had to go through the last cycle almost on faith, with the way being hidden or unclear. And you might have had to just kind of surrender and go through that. And yet at the same time, it was almost like you were tapping into this universal knowledge and understanding, kind of seeing the path forward. And there was something here for many of you where one of two things: either if this King of Pentacles is an actual person in your life, a Taurus, let's say, that person might have been very fundamental in fundamentally changing you. The Judgment card is when we have been called up from the dead. So this is why the death energy is really being highlighted for you. This is what your soul is illuminating, because you can't be called up as a new version of yourself unless you've died. You can't be called up from the dead if you haven't become dead, if that makes sense. So there's a sense here of so when Judgment comes in, it means that something has fundamentally changed in our life where we can't go back. This can be like we fundamentally changed because we got married. There was a fundamental change in that you can never go back to having never been married. It can be having a child, where you can't fundamentally go back to never having a child. There's a sense here around that where something, whether a person you met going through this whole process, has fundamentally changed you, and now has fundamentally changed your 10 of Pentacles, what you want to experience and achieve in your life. This could actually be where you're getting to a place now where you've never thought you could achieve a certain level of maybe financial abundance, or you were never going to own a home, something along those lines. And suddenly now you meet someone and you have the strength and the courage to start this next chapter with them, and suddenly you're realizing, oh my gosh, I want to manage my resources because I want to build on what I have with this individual. Now, this could also be you. This could be an aspect of yourself where in you going through whatever you went through, kind of, again, just following your intuition and kind of surrendering to what was, you became the King of Pentacles. You learned you might have lost wealth and gained it back. You might have, lost it, burned yourself out working too many hours and learned how to self-regulate and how to approach a job where you put up those boundaries and you say, no, I know for myself I work better in this amount of time, that kind of thing. So there's a sense here of, in going through this, the fundamental change was that you became the King of Pentacles. And the version of yourself prior to this that was burned out, that maybe did just take any job that came their way, or every time their boss said, work however many hours, and you were like, sure, that's me, I'll do that. And then you got drained and burned out. Or maybe the past version of yourself was where you let a past relationship financially take from you. There's something around these themes around your physical experience where either A, you met a person that fundamentally changed you. Now you're seeing a new way and a new life for yourself and what you want to build in it in the physical experience. Or B, you became the King of Pentacles and you now understand almost like the key to manifesting in the physical for yourself in a way that does not involve feeling burned out. It involves feeling free because you're choosing to follow your freedom. You're choosing to follow your heart. You're choosing to do what feels good to you. Okay, let's see here. Let's see about this Lovers card. What does Pisces need to know about the Lovers card? Okay, so we have another story here. Here's the Knight of Cups. We have the Knight of Cups, the Emperor. We have the King of Cups. We have the Page of Coins, and we have the Nine of Swords. Okay, let's take this. There's a whole little story coming in here. So the Knight of Cups is this is the hopeful romantic, someone who goes out there with rose-colored glasses and they're ready to kind of go on that romantic quest. The Emperor is someone who is in a position of authority. This could actually be where you might have approached someone in a position of authority with that kind of, hey, I love what you do. I'd love to work for you, that kind of thing. But I get the feeling more than anything, there was a sense here of for some of you, having to face an emperor figure in your life, like a parental, it could be a father figure. It could be, again, the boss, the CEO. Even someone in your own experiences could be the other significant partner in your life. And there's a sense of trying to, how can I say this? It's almost like you needed to get past that individual because you might have been almost like the sidekick to someone else. You might have been in someone else's shadow. That's what I'm feeling. You might have felt like you were in someone else's shadow for quite some time. And once you got out of that shadow, and it could have been because you might have been a little naive. That is the energy of the Knight of Cups. He can be seen as naive because he's just like, oh, everything's wonderful and beautiful and it will work out and it'll be great. And yet maybe there was someone in a position of authority who was using that to their advantage, or was just being the emperor and just kind of didn't take notice. He's like, yeah, go on that journey for me, or go do that, or, I don't care what happens to you. Because on the other side of that, I think once you faced that within yourself or within your life, you came out on the other side, the King of Cups. And the King of Cups is very different energy. This is where you now have gone from being kind of the naive individual to being the individual again, like going from the page to the king. You're going from the individual who doesn't quite know to the individual who fully understands. Now, the King of Cups is like the unconditional loving father. And I like how that's coming in here with the Queen of Cups. There's a sense here of mastering both the feminine and the masculine. This actually might be also where you met somebody who is bringing out these qualities within yourself. But the King of Cups is someone who knows the power of their emotions. They're emotionally stable, emotionally grounded. They also lead from a place of what they feel, and they trust their emotions. They honor their emotions, and they lead from that place. Now, with the Page of Coins and the Knight of Swords, I think for some of you, there's almost like a sense of wanting to take this person you've become out into the world to see what that's worth. The Page of Coins is the individual who wants to learn through direct experience. They want to take a little of what they have and say, okay, world, what can I do with this? This could even be like wanting to take a skill set and you want to take a course, or you want to get a secondary degree or something like that. And yet there's worry about that. The Nine of Swords are those what if thoughts that keep you up at night. And for some of you, this might be wanting to, this could actually represent wanting to, if you haven't already faced this Emperor, it's almost like saying there's a sense that some of you might be hiding a little bit. Either A, you hid in someone's shadow yourself knowingly because you didn't want to step up and have to take responsibility. This would be like someone who's just staying in a job because it's good, it keeps them financially stable, but yet they know they're never really going to advance. And there's a sense here of understanding that you're no longer that naive individual who started 10 years ago. And there's a feeling of kind of going around the shadow of your boss or the father figure or whatever it is, and going out there on your own. This would be like going out there and talking to a recruiter and saying, I think it's time for me to see what else is out there for myself. But that might mean that you might now have to be the person at the top. Or this would be like going outside the influence of maybe a father figure in your life, and you're like, it's time for me to be the father figure in my own life. Something along those lines is coming through here. So keep that in mind. I really get the feeling that either A, if you've already gone through this, it meant that you had to kind of face the Emperor in your life and you came out stronger for it. Or there might be a theme coming in right now that part of this whole block is understanding you've outgrown something. And it's time for you to step fully out of the shadow of someone else and fully into kind of your kingdom, if that makes sense. Okay, let's see. You have a lot of pages out here, though. So there's a lot of energy around being curious, opening up to something, opening up to what you don't know, opening up to other opportunities. Now, with the High Priestess and the King of Pentacles, you have the Sun and the Six of Wands. There's a lot of Leo energy in this reading. So for those of you who do have Pisces in your chart, I definitely see where your Leo placement is, and really kind of look at what's going on there for yourself. But with the Sun and the Six of Wands, this is like really the Sun is like somebody turning on a light in your life. Talk about illumination. This is the card of illumination, of the illumination of the self. I think it's also showing you what you want to be known for, what you want to have recognition for. The Six of Wands is recognition. It's celebration. It's others saying, good job. And for some of you too, there's a feeling here, I think, of really seeing what you want to be known for, what you want to achieve for yourself in the physical. Now, this could also be the realization that you are being seen this way by others. There could be others in your life who are like, oh my gosh, Pisces, this transformation is phenomenal. You went from being this like down and out person stuck in debt, alone, single, to all of a sudden you have this new relationship and you moved house and you seem to be financially well off, and what happened? It could kind of be something like that. But I do think this, or it could be where you're suddenly realizing that what you want to be known for, like part of what you're yearning for, is to be the business owner, is to be someone who's financially stable on their own. So yeah, it's a lot of okay, we have the World coming in as your third underlying energy. So you got the World, the World, and the World. So yes, there is definitely saying a new leaf has turned over for yourself, Pisces. The old you is done. The old you that was maybe naive, that did hide in the shadow of someone else or let someone else kind of take advantage of you, which burned you out. This cycle is one of which that is no more. You are now a new individual. You are now stronger. You are a king of pentacles. You are a king of cups. And it's time to let the old version of yourself go, and it's time to fully step into your power. And that might be a little scary. I understand that. That's the strength. That's the Leo lion-hearted courage that you're being asked to embody. Can you step out into the spotlight and claim your kingdom? Let's see here. Okay, we have, oh, I love it. It says surrender to receiving support and love. Yeah. It says, allow the love and support of others in rather than trying to handle everything yourself. This can take the pressure off and simultaneously nurture you. And I think for many of you, that might have been part of the burnout of the past cycle, was that you had to do everything yourself. It was kind of maybe a lonely cycle, a lonely way to get to where you are today. And yet now you have the opportunity to be surrounded by love, to pursue what your heart wants you to pursue, to be seen, which is so beautiful. Again, a new cycle honoring the innocent version of yourself, the inner child. I'm going to pull just a couple additional cards here just to see what the surrender to receiving support and love is about. I'd be curious to see if the Three of Cups comes in. Or the Nine of Wands. Let's see what's going to come out for you. What does Pisces need to know about surrender to receiving support and love? For some of you, this could even be, it's just interesting, just an extra message was coming in as I was looking at this with the High Priestess, the King of Pentacles, the Six of Wands, and the Sun. This might be where some of you want to actually be seen or known for maybe doing something a little outside the box. This could be like saying, I want to become a tarot reader, or I want to become an astrologer, or something like that, where it's like you want to start the business based around what you know. And there's a real illumination of that for yourself, and to have the strength to choose to do that. Now, that's just going to be a random message for a couple of you, but that could be what's coming through here. And maybe the past cycle of where you always worked at a 9-to-5 or whatever is coming to a close. Now, the Eight of Cups coming in for surrender to receiving support and love. Beautiful. Walking away from what no longer emotionally supports you and walking towards what does. The Eight of Cups, the girl is walking away from the Eight of Cups towards the 10 of Cups, which involves 2 cups. And the 2 of Cups is equal partnership. It's support. It's love. It's 2 people coming together with their cup. So there's a sense here of really bringing in that 2 of Cups energy. You're walking away from anything that doesn't emotionally support you anymore. And you're walking towards what does and who does. Bottom of this deck, 9 of Swords. There's that worry again. I think there's this big worry of kind of, again, stepping out, making the change away from being burned out, and stepping, again, fully into your power. Honor how much you've grown, and really honor where your heart is leading you, and release the past version of yourself to become this new, more, it's almost like you have to release the part of you that followed the orders of someone else. It's time for you now to step up and become the king of your own kingdom. All right, I will leave it there, Pisces. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. If you'd like to book a personal reading to take a look at what your soul would like to personally illuminate for you at this time, you can click on the link in the description box below to visit my website. Otherwise, I will look forward to reading for you in your next reading. Bye, Pisces.